Hello, OCO. This video is my own personal reaction to PhilosophyTube's video, Rationalizing Colonialism, How the U.S. Stole Indian Land. In case you don't know me, I'm Kenna Alexander, owner of Coyote Crow Games. I'm a game designer, writer, proud citizen of the Cherokee Nation, and someone who has recently come out as a transgender woman. Let me start by saying that I've enjoyed a number of Abigail Thorn's videos. I saw a PhilosophyTube video featuring Ms. Thorn about 4 years ago. I was still deep in the dark about my own transness at that point, but I felt drawn to her smartly produced essays and high production values. While she may have other problematic videos, I hadn't paid close enough attention to see anyone call them out or notice any flagrant issues in my casual viewing. But that changed with this video about colonialism, focusing on Thomas Jefferson in the early days of the United States, that released in June of this year. While there are many topics and information covered in that video that I don't have a problem with, either in her approach or her portrayal, there are a couple that are so glaring and so problematic that I could not get through the video without wincing constantly. Going back to watch it again for this video response was truly painful. And I just want to call it here too. This is the first time I've ever done a video response or a video reaction to anything on YouTube. It's just not something I usually put any energy into. Before I get into the issues in the video, I also want to call out that I'm not the only person raising my points. Many people on Blue Sky noticed these same issues. The top 6 comments on Abigail Thorn's August 29th Blue Sky post about the video are all similarly critical and all have more than 100 likes or reposts, including my own. Considering she only has 1,000-ish likes on the original post, you'd think that our comments would have reached her, and she has in fact responded to other comments. Additionally, a channel called Quarantine Collective did a broader breakdown on PhilosophyTube, and this video that I'm talking about in particular, I'll link to that in the description. I also followed up with a direct mention in a post I made asking her politely to respond to the criticisms that so many people put forward. It was met with silence from Ms. Thorn and is the primary reason I feel like I need to respond with my own video. So let's get into this, and I swear I'm going to do my best to keep my anger and frustration in check. Right out of the gate, just 20 seconds in, Ms. Thorn uses the term American Indian. I flinched. After multiple uses of the word, she pauses and inserts a post-edit clip where she acknowledges her use of American Indian and then refers to a video from a channel called Knowing Better from about 2 years ago that goes into various terms for Indigenous Americans and which ones should be used under what circumstances. But from what I can tell, that video was not produced by any natives and there are no native sources cited or people. The narrator certainly seems to take on the voice of someone who isn't native themselves. So from what I can tell, the only research Abigail Thorn did on what to call natives was watch a 3-minute video from a vague non-native source. Briefly, I want to address Abigail Thorn directly right here because I think it's important. Don't call me an American Indian. Don't call me Indian. Don't use the word at all unless you're talking about someone from India. I don't know anyone, and I mean anyone, who wants to be called an American Indian. And among the natives I know, we only use the term Indian when speaking to each other in certain contexts or groups or in reference to concepts like Indian country. But that's for us to use, not you. Okay, back to talking about the video. My next issue was that Ms. Thorn mentions the Cherokee Constitution being modeled after the U.S. Constitution, which is true, but in a video about colonialism, how difficult would it have been to mention that the U.S. Constitution was, in turn, directly inspired by the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, a fellow group of Iroquois speakers? That seems like it adds to the very narrative she's trying to push. But that's minor compared to my biggest issue. The misnaming, the missed opportunity with the Constitution, a number of other little things in there could have all been avoided if Miss Thorn had simply hired a native consultant. Or just, spoken to a native. Considering we've seen rampant discussion about trans rights from media talking heads that never seem to include trans people in the actual conversation, I would expect a trans woman to be on the front lines of the idea that if you're going to talk about a marginalized group, you include people from that group in your conversation. All of the costume budget according to Ms. Thorn, was spent hiring a white man to read Thomas Jefferson quotes. Was any time or money spent on finding out Native views on Jefferson then or now? There's a small bibliography section on the YouTube page which calls out a number of Kim Tallbear writings, as well as a book called An Indigenous People's History of the United States. But those seem to be the primary Native sources for the whole video, and frankly, that doesn't speak very highly of Ms. Thorn's research. Quite the opposite. As a game designer, one of the things that motivated me to get into this industry was seeing an endless parade of white game designers make games that included Native Americans in the theme or the content, only to find out that if they did any research at all, it was by reading books written by white people. Will this colonizer behavior ever end? How, as a white British woman, did Abigail Thorn think it was okay to make a video about colonialism and Native Americans without speaking to a single one, without consulting us, without featuring our faces and voices in her video? I am begging everyone seeing this, please don't make videos about trans people if you're not trans, without including trans people in your process. Please don't make videos about Indigenous people from anywhere in the world without including them in your video, even if you're Indigenous. I wouldn't make videos about Choctaw history or even Cherokee history without including others from those nations in my process. It's not just good research practice. It helps give voices back to the marginalized. People don't need to have wealthy white people speak for them. We need those wealthy white people to hand the mic to us when the opportunity arises. We collectively need to hear our own voices and tell our own stories. Finally, I want to address Ms. Thorn's comments about Israel and Palestine toward the end of the video and the comparisons she made to U.S. colonialism. She used a number of vague phrases and a couple of air quotes and said it was a much bigger topic than we can get into today. I'd like to respond by saying that I have time to get into it. Let me clear the air because it won't take very long. Israel is committing genocide. The United States is helping and is directly complicit. And the rest of the world's governments are doing nothing of substance to stop it. I have zero doubt that Israel has taken one-to-one lessons from Jefferson's and America's very successful genocide of the indigenous peoples of Turtle Island. See, that was easy. Genocide. Just say the word. So if I have all these issues with the video, what would I like Abigail Thorn to do about it now? Well, I'd like her to pull the video. Then I'd like her to do a re-edit of the video after consulting with natives. Hell, if she really likes Kim Tallbear that much, she could probably get her onto the show. That would be better than nothing. Regardless, include natives in the new video. I'd also like that new version to address her use of American Indian in the previous version and adjust her terminology to reflect the information gained through her consultations. I think owning up to an easily avoidable slur and making efforts to correct the issue is the least that Abigail Thorn can do. But based on her lack of response so far, I'm not hopeful she's capable of the least.